Has your prospect ever told you during a sales conversation, you know what, this is really interesting. This is something I think we could use, but unfortunately we have no budget. If this sounds familiar, there's a response I want you to use to include when you're faced with this objection, which is what it really is. There's a simple phrase I'm going to give you that's going to help move from that we don't have any budget to discussions about how to find that budget. Hi, I'm Shawn Casemore, and I help sales professionals like you learn how to become top performing sales professionals, which ultimately will help you earn more money in less time. If that sounds good to you, make sure you click the subscribe button. You'll be notified each and every time I release a new video. Now, if you're in a conversation with a prospect and they say to you, we have no budget, or we haven't assigned any budget, or we're going to have to wait till the next budget period. If that's come up more than once, it's really a sign for you to do a little bit of background work before you have any further meetings. So hear me out. If you're constantly running into that as an objection, we have no budget right now, my guess is what you're selling is fairly substantial in value, right? Because if you're selling something worth $100, every company is $100. Every company can access $10,000 pretty quickly without a budget. I'm sorry, but it's true. But if you're selling something that's $100,000, $250,000, $1 million, a little bit different. There does have to be a budget in play. But here's what you need to do that is the gap I find a lot of sales professionals don't, which is quantify the benefits of your product or service. Now, what I mean by quantify is this. Budget is simply money that is assigned to certain things. So let's say for a moment you're selling capital equipment, okay? There will typically be a budget set the year prior to say we expect to spend X on capital equipment. If you come along with the best piece of capital equipment ever, or there's a sudden breakdown and they're trying to decide, do I buy new or do I fix what I have? Ultimately, in that scenario, they need to take a look at what they had assigned in the budget to capital equipment and determine what's left and how does that amount left compare to what you're offering or what you're suggesting. But here's the thing, a budget number is just a line item, right? So in this scenario, capital equipment might have many line items, but there's other line items. There's budget that's set aside for building maintenance. There's budget set aside for employee holidays. There's a budget set aside for employee benefits. There's budget set aside for employee training. By the way, if you are looking for a good sales trainer, I know a guy. That's me. But ultimately, think about it this way. A budget is just a line item. And therefore, money within budgets can be moved around. Because at the end of every year, what the company does is they sit down, they look at their budget and they say, well, we had planned for these expenses. Here's the actual expenses. How well did we do? Which means there's always an opportunity to take money from other line items and dedicate it to your budget. It happens all the time. So if somebody says to you, we don't have this in our budget, you need to respond with something a bit provocative, right? To kind of snap them out of that, oh yeah, we just don't have the money for this, and get them thinking about this differently along the lines of a budget is just a line item. There's money elsewhere. There's money in other budgets you probably haven't used or are not near as important as this. And when you've got that mindset for yourself, so you don't get disappointed when they say that, and you can help your prospect see this, it's going to help you find a solution together. Okay, so let's go through this kind of front to back or beginning to end. Let's say the product you're selling is fairly substantial in value. You have some very serious discussions with your prospect that go very well. There's interest there. You even give them a proposal or a quote. They're like, yeah, this looks great, but we're going to have to wait until next budget year. Now, if that next budget year is a month away, okay, fine. But my suggestion is this, regardless of when the next budget year is, you want to keep moving forward to make it happen now. There's different ways to do that. You can offer incentives, right? But a lot of these approaches that companies often use are based on reducing your price. And that's not something you want to do if you want to be a top performer. What you want to do instead is bring up the fact that maybe the money's not in the budget right now, but there's probably other line items that are less important where there is money that could be redeployed. Okay. This may require some further conversations with people higher up in the company. But what you need to be able to do is quantify the benefits of them moving forward with your solution. So whatever it is you're trying to sell them, whether it's replacing what they have or it's something new they don't have, what is the quantifiable benefit they get from doing so? Do you improve productivity for them, for the company, and by how much? Do you improve the return on investment, and by how much? Do you reduce costs of certain things like overhead or insurance costs? If so, on average, by how much? Just take a look at the benefits past customers or clients have achieved after buying your product or solution, quantify those, meaning put them into a number or a percentage, and now it's something that they can sink their teeth into, so to speak. So for example, if you said to me, well, Shawn, there's really no budget right now for this. So we love it, love to move ahead. There's just no budget. I could say, well, look, I understand that. Initially when you reached out, you probably weren't thinking that this was something that would be so valuable and that you should be looking at it right now. But let me just give you this as an example. We just worked with a company similar to yours in this area, and we were able to reduce their overhead costs by nearly 10%. If you were to apply that in your case, what would that number be? 10% of your total overhead, what would that be? And how does that compare to the investment? You see, what you've got to help them realize is that the investment that they make simply requires they reassign money from other budgets because the benefits, the value of doing so is so great. But the only way you're going to get there is to quantify it, giving them specific numbers, because a budget number is exactly that, a number. So you can't use emotional triggers to try and overcome that number. If they need $100,000 to spend on your thing and they don't have that $100,000 right now, where can they get it? Where can they get it? You're the one that's got to show them that they better get it, because if they don't, they're going to lose out on benefits. But it's not the benefit of feeling good. It's quantifiable benefits. It's reduced downtime. It's improved uptime. It's better quality. It's reduced risk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is where quantifying the value and benefits that your clients or customers receive from buying your product or service are very important. And you want to bring them into the conversation. And then if that is not going the direction you'd like, if they say, no, this is all great, I agree, Shawn, but we're really budget focused here, then you can be so bold, if you feel comfortable, and say, look, I completely understand that. So let me be honest with you. I think it's important that we look to other line items in your budget that may not be near as important to see if we can rededicate some of those funds to make this happen. Now, notice nowhere in there did I suggest to you need to reduce your price, need to change your payment terms. Those are other options that you can bring forward. Hey, we can take a small deposit now and do the rest in your next budget year. If that's something that you're allowed to offer, fine, but I wouldn't start there. They've got the money. They just need to reassign that money in order to make your investment. And if you can quantify the value, they'll make the change. So, hope you've enjoyed this, another one of my videos on how to really become a top performing sales professional. If you like this video, click the like button. Comment below if there's a strategy you've used that's been highly effective. And make sure you check out my other videos on how to be more effective in selling here, right there. And until next time, let's get out there and go sell something. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.